Today is Saturday, December 28th. Ready to wrap the year up with some positive news for a change? Us too. For our last special edition Saturday of 2024, we invited the founder of Nice News, John Devin, to join us for a countdown of the top 10 best, or at least most popular, nice news stories of the year. Nice News is a positive news platform and morning digest sent to over 850,000 subscribers. Today's Nice News Countdown includes everything from ways to lessen anxiety and prevent dementia to positive uses of tech like AI and more. So let's get into it. Welcome to the Newsworthy Special Edition Saturday, when we sit down with a different expert or celebrity every Saturday to talk about something in the news. Don't forget to tune in every Monday through Friday for our regular episodes, where we provide all the day's news in 10 minutes. I'm Erica Mandy. It's now time for today's Special Edition Saturday. John Devin, thank you so much for joining us here on the Newsworthy.
Erica, thank you so much for having me.
So 2024 obviously had its share of bad news, but overall, how do you think things went for the year in the good news department?
There's a lot of good news out there in spite of what it may seem when you're watching traditional news, cable, or reading traditional news outlets. And that's kind of why we started Nice News, is to uncover stories that are oftentimes overshadowed by other major headlines and create a safe space to engage with positive stories. It's funny because when we first started Nice News, I honestly thought maybe we'd be able to source a few stories every single day. And we have hundreds of stories to choose from every single day.
That's amazing. And so how do you find some of these stories?
Our process for curation, we have around 100 sources that our curators are looking through every day and then submitting to our editorial team to then filter down and determine what it is we want to feature in our daily edition. And it's traditional, larger national news outlets. Sites like Nat Geo, it can be local news, it can be health-focused outlets. So we really do look through a good number of publications to determine what it is that we want to feature to make sure that we don't miss anything.
What do you think makes a good news story?
Everyone has their own interpretation of what they consider to be nice. So we have these different questions that help frame what it is that is a nice news story. Does it make you more optimistic? Does it make you view the world through a lens that will help you kind of create more impact? Is it going to spark action potentially? So I think there's no kind of one defining factor as to what it is that is nice news, but it's helpful to kind of have tools to determine what we want to feature.
So is the top 10 that we're going to talk about based on, your opinion of the best? Is it based on what was most popular at Nice News? How did you come up with this list?
So we pulled our top engaging featured stories within the Nice News Daily Edition. And I will say I did a little bit of filtering to make sure we covered a variety of categories. So it wasn't all coming from health and wellness and culture. There are a couple science stories in here too, and tech too.
Okay, well, let's jump into the top 10 good news, nice news stories of the year, according to Nice News. We'll start at 10 and then work our way up to the number one nice news of 2024. So start us off with number 10.
Number 10 is around the scientific backing to what's called the 3-3-3 rule, which can be used to calm your mind in minutes. It's great for combating anxiety. So how it works is basically, number one, you look around, you identify 3 things in your environment, take a moment to observe these 3 things. Number 2, listen, find 3 sounds that you can hear. It could be a bird chirping or as subtle as the air conditioner. And number 3, moving your body. So moving 3 parts of your body, your shoulders, your toes, paying attention to the sensations of the movement. And this process basically helps shift your focus from internal anxiety to your external environment. So there was a study that was released around the benefits for it. So ultimately, it's kind of promoting mindfulness and allowing you to be present in your body and hopefully
scientifically confirming the benefits of this strategy. Okay, very cool. Okay, number 9.
Number 9 is coming to you from Paris. We had a correspondent at the Olympics this past year for Nice News. It was a story about the youngest and oldest athletes who competed. So the cool thing about the Olympics is there's actually no specific age requirement. So the youngest athlete was Zhang Haohao, who was a skateboarder from China, only 12 years old. It was cool to watch her. She skated park. She has a super kind of like confident charisma, willingness to try anything at 12 years old. And the oldest athlete was Jimenez Cobo from Spain. He's 65 years old. He competed in equestrian dressage. And it was cool that he competed actually back in Athens in 2004. And then now 2 decades later, he's competing again.
That is so cool. And just a reminder, you can do a lot of things no matter how young or how old you are. Love that. Number 8.
Number 8 was a story about the Notre Dame reopening. It actually happened very recently. It reopened to the public on December 16th. I think everyone's probably aware a fire broke out at Notre Dame in April 2019. It's kind of wild how long ago that was. It's been almost 6 years of restoration for the cathedral, and now it is open again to the public. It's 850 years old. It's one of the most iconic structures in the world, and obviously something tragic happened, but now the community is coming together and everyone can witness kind of the spectacle of the church and is now open to the public.
I think we're on number 7.
Number 7 is a health piece. This was around what the best sleep position is, according to experts, with a study that was released. So the answer is sleeping on your back is generally the best position for a few reasons. Some of those reasons, it is great for the spine, and it can be helpful with chronic back and neck pain. It's also a more breathable position. So with your face towards the ceiling, your skin can breathe, your diaphragm can fully expand. There are a lot of pros to sleeping on your back. I will say after reading this piece, I personally tried to start sleeping on my back. I'm more of a side sleeper, but there are a lot of benefits.
So how did it go? Are you still sleeping on your back or is it impossible? I'm a side sleeper too.
I am a little bit, and then I'll wake up on my side.
Yeah. You try at least. You try. Yeah. Okay, cool. Number 6.
Nice News tends to avoid politics, but unless it's very bipartisan. I think this piece did really well for us because it is really uniting. It was around how to be kind to people you disagree with during an election year. And I'll mention a few of the tips that we focused on. One was practicing humility. So trying to resist the temptation of automatically assuming that you're less wrong than someone we disagree with. Instead, really embracing the idea that, like us, they're just trying to make sense of the world. And number 2, asking respectful questions. So a lot of our thoughts about people who have different beliefs than us stem from simply not understanding where they're coming from. So it's really important to kind of be inquisitive and interested in learning more and asking questions. And in that vein, getting out of your echo chamber. So we spend a lot of time with people who have very similar beliefs to us, or a lot of us do. And it's important to be able to kind of practice empathy across divides. It's easy to practice empathy with people who have very similar beliefs to you, really seeking to understand and learning how to kind of extend kindness to those that we don't see eye to eye with.
And I think people want more of that, but it is tricky in today's world where politics is part of, like, we see it as a value system, not just policies anymore.
And I think that's why it was really resonant in that it's more relevant now and leading into the new year too, just to make sure that we're willing to listen and have conversations. I don't think anything bad can come of that if you're coming from the right place.
Coming up next, we continue the countdown of nice news stories from 2024, including tech advancements that are making a difference, newly discovered ancient frescoes, new ways to help prevent dementia, and more. Plus, we'll tell you the number 1 top nice news story of 2024. That's still coming up. But first, a quick break for our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Hiya Health. I'm guessing your kids are going to be eating plenty of cookies and sweets this holiday season, so you don't want your kids' daily vitamin to also be full of sugar. That's why Hiya was created. While most children's vitamins are filled with 5 grams of sugar, Hiya is made with 0 sugar and 0 gummy junk. Yet, it tastes great. My 3-year-old absolutely loves taking his Hiya children's vitamin and their kids' probiotic every single morning. He honestly gets excited about it every time, and it's the cutest thing. And I love that they help support his immunity, his brain function, mood, bones, concentration, and more. Hiya is designed for kids 2 and up, and it's great that they send it straight to your door so you, the parent, have one less thing to worry about. We've worked out a special deal with Hiya for their best-selling children's vitamin. Receive 50% off your first order, half off. To claim this deal, you must go to hiyahealth.com/newsworthy. This deal is not available on the regular website, so go to hiyahealth.com/newsworthy and get your kids the full body nourishment they need to grow into healthy adults. The Newsworthy is also brought to you by Skims. I love to focus on those little moments around the holidays that feel special. Instead of trying to force the magic, I found it's truly those cozy times with my family that are the best. And the Skims Holiday Shop has so many great pieces to enhance that time at home. I picked up another one of my favorite soft lounge sleep sets, this time from the Skims Holiday Shop, in a really fun seasonal red color, and I'm obsessed with it. I wear this around the house cuddled up with a cup of hot tea, maybe some hot cocoa. I appreciate that it's matching and it's not only cozy, but also super cute, so if we snap a family photo mid-cuddle, I'm all set. I'll definitely be buying the soft lounge sleep set and my other favorite from the holiday shop, the cozy robe, for some of my loved ones on my list this year. Shop Skims Holiday Shop at skims.com. Available in styles for women, men, kids, and even pets. And if you haven't yet, be sure to let them know we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. Okay, now back to our conversation. Okay, so number 5?
5 was a tech piece. It was around advancements in Apple Watch and other smartwatches. These devices, a lot of people are aware, can track heart rate, respiratory rate, wrist temperature, sleep duration, amongst other stats. And they're being used more and more to diagnose and help patients manage diseases. So some of these are not fully approved by the FDA or other regulatory bodies, but doctors are starting to notice kind of the impact and use and benefits of these devices. So in particular, it's being used for heart disease and can be used post-surgery to track different metrics and tracking information for other conditions too.
Yeah, I think that Apple has really embraced this, and it sounds like it's actually making a difference for people, which is great. Okay, number 4.
New frescoes that were found in the ash of Pompeii. This was 2,000 years after the city was wiped out, or has been wiped out by a volcanic eruption. So there were excavations at the House of Leda, which actually began in the 18th century and then were relaunched in 2018 with the goal to complete kind of a full reconstruction plan of the site. And one of the frescoes depicts a scene from a Greek myth, Phrixus and his twin sister Helle, and they're kind of like on this magical ram. It's this beautiful painting. So it's just fascinating that this has been covered for 2,000 years and then now it's being discovered for the first time.
Okay, we're down to the top 3 of 2024. What's number 3?
Number 3 is the list of the top places to live in the U.S. These lists tend to do well with our readers when we showcase them. This is reported from U.S. News and World Report. It's an annual list around the best places to live. They use public survey data as well as information from FEMA, Census Bureau, FBI, and more. And they're looking at quality of life, access to outdoors, the job market, weather, amongst other factors. So the number 1 place on the list was Naples, Florida, and number 2 was Boise, number 3 was Colorado Springs. So some really interesting, sometimes surprising places that were on the list. If any listeners are interested in potentially moving to a new destination, this could be a good list to reference.
So what makes Naples so great?
I mean, the weather obviously is great in Florida. They said that they kind of put a little bit more weight on the job market. So I'm assuming that the job market in Naples was also looking good in terms of opportunities that are out there, amongst other factors like quality of life.
Let's go to number 2.
All right. Number 2 is a piece we published on Nice News after seeing a world first study that came out around risk factors specifically applying to early onset dementia cases. And through that study, it was determined that 40% of Alzheimer's cases are preventable or at minimum delayed, which is pretty fascinating. So the study really helps us understand kind of how you can reduce your risk. There are a lot of lifestyle choices, things we can control that help reduce the risk. Obviously, diet is one of them. So implementing a Mediterranean diet can be very helpful. In particular, making sure you have enough vitamin D can help reduce your risk. In terms of exercise, it's not just cardio. It's thinking about strength training. It's thinking about balance, actually, and stretching. And the number 1 factor was building strong social connections. So making sure that you have strong social bonds and continue to engage with people. in social settings is really helpful.
We are social creatures, and it's such a good reminder to continue that throughout our lives as much as possible and to help our neighbors do that as well. Okay, drum roll, please. We are to number 1, top nice news story of 2024.
The number 1 top news story from Nice News in 2024 was actually a recent story that we ran around an AI grandma who was taking or has been taking down scammers. I don't know if you saw this one, you're smiling.
We reported it too.
Okay,
yeah.
Great.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it's a fun one. It's a British mobile phone company. The company's called O2, and they unveiled this creation. Her name is Daisy. She's an artificial intelligence granny who basically talks to scammers to keep them away from real people. So they partnered with this YouTuber who has 4 million followers, very familiar with exposing scammers. And basically, Daisy's used to bait scammers. She's added to a variety of lists. The goal is to get scammers to talk to her and not talk to other people, but also to raise awareness around the dangers of risky phone conversations.
Maybe we can play a clip like we did on our episode where we talked about this, where you can hear Daisy. Let's listen to that now.
Hello, scammers. I'm your worst nightmare. I'm an AI created by O2 to waste phone scammers' time. So, W's then a dot.
3 times W and then dot.
I think your profession is bothering people, right?
I'm just trying to have a little chat.
It's nearly been an hour! For the love of...
Gosh, how time flies.
Because she's AI, it talks about how she can keep them on the phone for as long as possible to keep them away from other people, and that there's infinite number of these grannies that can talk to scammers and hopefully annoy them enough that maybe they'll stop for the whole day. So yeah, technology, it's nice to think about the positive elements of some of this technology, because I know there can be good and bad with it, but it is helping in a lot of ways.
Completely agree. There are a lot of positive things that around the use of AI, and this is definitely one of them.
What really stands out to you when you're looking at all of these different types of stories that could be on the list? Which are your kind of favorites?
Some of my favorites are when it feels like they can be applicable to my life. Some of these, like the Alzheimer's story, there are tangible things that you can do in your life that are going to impact your outcome or your connection with others in the world. So that's my favorite, is when we have also feedback from subscribers saying how much we've been able to impact their life through waking up and reading Nice News every morning, but also through providing stories that give them insight into certain things that can be beneficial to them or their community.
I am curious, do you ever cover kind of like the more feel-good stories of like people doing good things? And are there any that stood out from this year that you could share?
Yeah, we have a couple feel-good stories as well that I could mention. One of them was about a man named Jacob Bell, who was convicted of burglary in 1996 and actually spent 20 years in prison. And then 6 years since his release, he's actually making headlines for saving multiple people's lives. So in the span of 2 months, he actually saved 2 people's lives, one person from drowning and another from a car that was about to catch in flames. So that was a pretty wild story. There was one other story that stood out. It was about a woman who was getting married, Shahan Kirkarian, and she secretly was learning how to speak Armenian. Her husband was Armenian, and she decided to speak to her husband in his native tongue for their wedding vows. So she did all of her vows in Armenian, saying that she was dedicated, obviously, to learning and also to making sure that this was an important part of their children's lives.
I actually saw this. I think it was a viral clip on social media as well. At this wedding ceremony, the husband is, tearing up. It meant so much to him. Great stories to know from the year, and I'm sure you're going to have many more coming for 2025. Any kind of final note or takeaway you want to leave our audience with as we wrap up today? There's
a lot of good happening in the world in spite of what you might be seeing in traditional news, and it's important to know that people have good intentions, and we have a lot more in common than we have that divides us.
You can learn more about each of the stories we talked about today by heading to our website, thenewsworthy.com, and finding today's episode notes. We've linked to each of those stories for you. Thank you so much to our guest today, John Devin, for sharing those stories with us. Be sure to check out Nice News and subscribe to their daily newsletters. You'll get a dose of good news straight to your inbox each day. And join us here at The Newsworthy again on Monday. We'll catch you up on all the news you may have missed over the weekend in just 10 minutes as you get ready to head into the new year. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back on Monday. Until then, have a great weekend.